And I think a big part of a lot of these early game teams, they really require some wave control, because if they can't really push and get priority to start roaming around, their team really starts to slow down. So looking at the lineup right now, it does seem like Falcon has a bit of an edge in that department. We'll have to see though, because again, it all depends on where exactly do these heroes go to.
The biggest thing for me when I'm looking at Falcon already is you have so much CC, right? You've got the CC from the Fredrin, the knock-up, the taunt, plus the Terrify, and again, depending what we see Valentina take for an ultimate here, probably right now, Wild Charge, but still, the fact that you have a lot of that layered CC, it's going to work in your favor, but you need to be able to follow up on that, right? So you can see how many marksman bans are coming out, but we had some surprises yesterday in terms of marksman picks. We saw, Melissa come out, Moskov, what else is in store here? And does Falcon want to opt for a traditional marksman? Because with them banning 3 out so far, and there's the Claude as well in return from RRQ, there's not a lot of options left, at least from what we've seen so far in the knockout stage.
Well, right now, RRQ banned away the Claude, so logically speaking, that means they already have their gold laner, or if they're planning on going for something different than a Claude. So a bit of a mind game here, because the Lunox can still go in that role, and the Harith has been banned out as well. A bit of a different priority for both these teams, but it does seem like Falcon, they're just setting up for a very strong front line. They ban out a long DPS heroes like that Beatrix. They can just burst through. So maybe they just want something more kitey, something that can maintain distance a bit more.
With the way Falcon was banning, even in second phase, they ban out the Beatrix. I'm thinking, oh, they're probably going to pick up a Harith for the gold lane or something very out of the ordinary. But RQ calls the bluff right there, and they're like, yeah, I think we know what you're going for here. So they ban out the Harith, they ban out the Claude, and now Zipex kind of, he's really got to think about this. Is that Clint?
He was hovering over Moskov.
Well, kind of a bit of a sneak peek here. It's a bit unfair.
He just goes for it. He's like, I'm going to full send it. I'm going with it. Now, it doesn't have the best win rate here, but this, again, could just be that comfort pick for Zipex. Goes and rather goes for the Clint there than something spicy that we've seen so far. Like that Moskov, it was selected, but this is probably the better choice, right? Again, you have a lot of CC. You need to be able to follow up, and now that's the thing, Arashi, is Clint the best option here? Does he have enough burst? How long does it take for this Clint hero to get to that point? Is it 2-item, 3-item, 4-item marksman? How's it working?
I think Clint just has a very strong advantage in the early game, right? That trading potential is massive, and the wave clear as well with the passive. So I think Clint has a lot of potential. In the mid game though, I feel like he falters quite a bit before being yet another huge presence in the late game. And speaking of late game, Melissa has been selected by RRQ, and along with that is the Martis. So again, the mind game is really paying off right here. You didn't really know what exactly was the final pick going to be, but now you see the lineup is coming through, a lot of crowd control immunity, and a lot of outplay potential, right? The movement and the denial that RRQ is very fond of, but that signature Franco pick, man, coming in for Falcon.
We've been waiting for that Franco pick. Quick notice, though, onto the gold lanes. You mentioned how Clint is supposed to be kind of strong in the early game, but now with this Melissa, you have such range, such poke in that laning phase. It's going to probably give Clint a little bit of a hard time. Now, Clint, not a whole lot of mobility in those team fights in the mid game, but he can, if he can get a good positioning. If the rest of his team can pocket around him, he can output a lot of damage, plus some nice true damage from the passive. So there is some possibilities. He builds with the Endless Battle, but it's going to come down to really big, how well can Naomi peel for him? How well can they stack that CC and protect him throughout that mid phase?
Well, I'm just wondering, with that last pick from Falcon, if we're going to take a trip to Hook City again, because the highlights, man, that guy had, it just seemed unreal. And I know RRQ is probably prepared for that. And I like the Melissa pick as well, because we actually saw this yesterday, the interaction that ultimate provides, that micro decision, and a lot of times turns the tides for those team fights, especially when we're talking about, lately we've seen so many under turret plays, whether they're looking for the sandwich angle or they're just trying to collapse down on a tier 1 turret even, and that's crucial, if you have that in your repertoire basically to work with it. And the Melissa is that great pick, but still, I was talking about CC from Falcon. RQ Hoshi has great CC as well, but we are loading up into the land of Dawn here for the first series of the day. RRQ Hoshi versus Falcon.
Off the bat, ZipX with a very aggressive emblem choice here. The killing spree being used to ensure that I guess he can go a bit more aggressive and chase for those very valuable kills in the early game. But R7 with the mystery shop, with the vengeance, as we mentioned, very dangerous, but Clay gets hooked in. The sustain will be enough, but Falcon already showing dominance in this early game.
Yeah, already a big hook, already a lot of aggression from the side of Falcon, and this is exactly what we wanted to see. This is exactly what we thought they would bring.
Well, off to a decent start. I mean, it's a pretty stalemate right now. Oh,
big pick on Albert. He will be able to get away with ease, though, but it does look like they want to keep on bringing some aggression. Justin going to come up, trying to get Terrify on Vin. Ken moving in as well, bringing Vin down to about half health. He's going to try to get away with this. Gets a nice defense.
Wow.
Wait, will he get the dash? Ken trying to catch him, just can't, though.
Also, a very close situation, and this is why you can't really just go aggressive against Falcon, because they will punish you. And look at these hooks, man. Barely misses onto Clay, but of course that is so dangerous, and that is something that is going to be at the back of their minds right now.
there it is, right? I was just talking about that in the draft. Falcon is ranked first in first blood rate with 93.33%. 14 out of 15 games. No one's claimed it just yet, but both teams going to work on the first turtle.
Most definitely Ken trying to get a nice position here, but in comes Albert. The appraisal's wrapped double lands down, and Ken's able to take the turtle. Nice pick, but the battle does still pursue. Albert goes down. Vin may just be next, caught in the middle of 4. That is another kill for Ken, putting them at 1-0-1. First blood plus another to the side of Falcon.
So they maintain that statistic, and let's take a look how that worked out for the Marashi.
They're getting 3 more items here. Of course, ZipX has some more life steal here, but R7 trying to go in against Ken. Unfortunately, he's getting too low. The vengeance is popped, but it won't be enough.
That is huge, but Albert wants to keep on pushing it. Ken gonna switch positions, but he's taken out by Clay. This could be bad for Albert, though. No, they find Naomi. Albert goes down to Justin, but now Justin trying to escape. Can't quite make it. The Brilliance comes out. They're on the chase. Wild Charge comes in. Yellow Flash goes down, and so does Justin. Yellow Flash actually still up. Ends up finding Clay there. Overall, a 2-for-1 trade. RQ fighting back.
On paper, RRQ has a lot more late game heroes, but this is what we've been talking about, right? Falcon trying to aggress, but RRQ is not backing down at all. They keep matching these plays, and they keep getting a bit of an exchange. It can work out, but like I said, it's a bit dangerous, especially if they start losing the tempo and letting Falcon get control of the game. Right now for both teams, the presence and the aggression has just ensured that invades are not happening, but if it's just a stalemate, I think Naomi with the hooks has a bit more advantage, but the card control immunity does come in solid here.
The other thing that, I mean, just in the last couple minutes here, again, this is going back to that tempo, right? Pace set by Falcon, but RRQ doing a good job at pretty much matching it, but at the same time, look at Justin, right? He has those 3 kills already. He's running the mystery shop here. He's going to be able to scale up really well on this Valentina early on, and how will that play a part? You're going to have to see it as Falcon Esports adjust into especially the mid-game. But right now, this minor advantage that Falcon has is going to play out, especially in the objectives. Now, because Albert is playing that Martiz, you're able to kind of bob and weave out of these situations the best you can. And if they get whittled down here from Falcon Esports, the decimate is huge, but the fight breaks out.
Yeah, we got to keep eyes on Naomi here, waiting for that hook to come in. Yellow Flash into the backside. R7 trying to do the same thing here. Turtle does reset, so Ken going to try to push forward. Naomi just holding down in this bush. A nice hook does land onto Vin there. In comes the suppression, but Vin able to get out. Responds with a wild charge, and down goes Naomi. Ken will be next. It's a 2-for-0 trade, a double kill going to the side of Clay.
After a solid turtle pit dance, RRQ somehow find a big engage, and despite having the less dynamic, the less fast engage with that rock pick, Vin was able to find an amazing wild charge, and I think that was just what set the deal for RRQ. Falcon needs to make sure that they maintain distance, because otherwise RRQ have a lot more potential to burst them down and also go for those big engages. And quick mention on the items right here, R7 has the genius one. He's going for early DPS, trying to make sure that he can keep the game rolling long enough for Skylar to try and scale into that late game.
Not only that, but you know, having that R7, having the Genius Wand already is going to scale really well, or complement really well. Clay especially, as he's already quite bursty and has that magic penetration, but paired with that item, you know, Falcon's going to be careful how they approach it, but Vin...
Yeah, Vin's going to try to come in, use the conceal play. Justin, though, here to help. Nice suppression onto Clay. Will get wild charged up. Justin using one of his own. Now Zipx going to try to catch some distance. Getting that passive off, but Albert moving on to Justin here. Decimation locks in, and down goes Justin. Skylar and the rest of them are going to try to take this final tower. I mean, it's just one tap away as Zipx and Naomi are pushed back to base.
It's just such a tough situation to be in, man. RRQ, they do it yet again. Even though Justin was able to secure a counter engage using the stolen wild charge, it's just not enough. There's not enough combo coming in, and Falcon really seems to be the one on the back foot here. They're losing to RRQ in terms of speed, and that's nice to mention. And this kind of matchup, speed will kill you. Tempo is of utmost importance.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't think much is going to happen here. R7's just too fast.
R7 is way, way too fast for sure. And this is why the joystick is just so annoying, right? Again and again, he's just been able to dash towards the back line of Falcon, and they can pretty much, they can't really do anything to try and stop him. And in this early game, this is why it's so dangerous, because you don't have enough crowd control, you don't have enough burst damage, and this is why that Vengeance spell as well is just so annoying on a mobile hero like this Joy.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we've seen Joy pop up so many times now, and I feel like that success rate is really apparent in the XP lane.
Vin will bite the bullet there. Yellow Flash trying to move on to Clay there. Will use Brilliance to get out. Falcon now taking cover over the turtle pivot. Albert trying to make it in. Will take the turtle. A beautiful retribution. Hook does land onto Skylar. Skylar trying to get away here. R7 now getting on to Zipx. Zipx goes down. Clay in a very bad situation. The taunt comes in. He finds him, but the battle still pursues under the purple buff. R7 trying to get them down. Albert will fall. A nice pick. Overall, a 3-for-1 trade, but RQ does take the turtle.
Ooh, it seems like Yellow Flash still wants to go for a bit more though, but R7, look at him just denying Justin any kind of presence, but he might just a bit of more than he can chew. But no, he is able to escape with the mobility, and despite getting the turtle, RRQ got punished heavily in that fight.
That's the best thing they can do, right? I mean, if they're able to get those objectives here for RRQ, at least you have that going for you into the mid-late game transition. So, but what we're seeing again is the pretty much the pendulum of tempo between both these teams. First, it was Falcon, RRQ got it back, and now it's Falcon once again.
Oh, but a nice hook does come in. Wild charge coming down from Vin. Brilliance comes out. Naomi taking a little bit of damage. Yellow Flash does secure a tower, though, on the top side. Albert now coming to help out the team. RQ will disengage. Falcon taking a little bit of revenue, though, in the mid and the top lane.
So they hold on to it. It's one hit away there on the bottom side, tier 1. Still looking for a map advantage here. Naomi!
Ooh, R7 should be able to get away from this, but it is a lot of damage from Zipx. He's going to need to be careful because Falcon is hovering down this bot lane.
Every time Falcon gets an engage, RRQ, it seems like their go-to response is to fight fire with fire and aggress back. And this is making it very difficult for Naomi to get a lot of value with these iron hooks. Because even if someone gets hooked, they don't back away. They all go in at the same time. And with Clay, for example, having the immunity with the Brilliance order, it's just going to allow him to just buy so much more time. And Falcon is definitely struggling to deal with this, but they still are sitting at a 2K gold lead, and that is significant, especially with how they play.
Well, this is big, right? Zipx finally getting that BOD. First Lord of the game is going to be up here. Justin holding on to that wild charge. Everybody, not sure if they want to commit to this just yet. It is going to be Ken and Albert dancing around it. But you see everybody managing the waves the best they can before they get in position for the fight here. Ken and Albert still at a stalemate. And also Naomi waiting patiently there. I think he did spot out R7. But still looking for the best advantage point for both teams. Yellow Flash getting vision as well. Who goes for it first?
Yeah, I mean, Falcon loves to start these lords first, try to push them in. Wait a second, Naomi locks on. Vin takes a lot of damage, and the stolen wild charge. Vin goes down. Albert now trying to lock in the back line. Naomi goes down. Albert on the run, though, as Ken and Justin try to chase. Yellow Flash on the bot side, trying to lock on to Clay here. Clay does get stunned, will get stunned again, but Yellow Flash is just here to delay. Albert finds the backside, though, and locks down Justin. Zipx taking a lot of damage. R7 finds him. This could be bad. Ken now moving on to R7. It's a bloodbath, boys. Clay goes down. Overall, 3-for-2 still, but a fight still pursues. RQ on the backside. Ken back onto the Lord.
Falcon with a very intelligent approach right here. Every time Naomi is able to get an engage, Vin counters with the wild charge. So right there, they used everything to ensure that Vin gets taken out before he's able to do anything. And in retaliation, in the beginning of the fight at least, RRQ was only able to secure the kill onto Naomi, but I think Falcon needs to be careful when the fight drags on like that, because Zipex, if he is getting jumped on by R7 with no protection, that is game over for him.
Yeah, I'm thinking the exact same thing, man. You know, we saw that there. R7 just unleashing on the backside, especially in those extended fights, and once again, we find ourselves in the Lord dance. Both teams still looking for positioning. Pretty much more or less the same thing. Is it going to be Naomi that lands the hook here first? As everybody gets situated, Zipex trying to get that orange buff. Lord's going to go ahead and reset. No one pushing the go just yet.
Yeah, nobody pulling that trigger just yet. Skylar is going to kind of dance around. We got to keep our eyes on Naomi. He seems to be the initiator. The major problem here is, as Arashi said, Zipex hasn't come online in this mid-game. The Clint just doesn't seem as fearsome, and without him, they just can't output the damage.
But you can see, tanky items are being built by the side of Falcon, so the damage, the burst potential from RRQ is slowly but surely dissipating. And as you mentioned, Zipex is only going to get stronger and stronger. So I think for the most part, it's going to be in the hands of R7. You see that once he pops his ultimate, the electrifying beats, that's where Falcon just gets a bit more bold and they make a play onto him.
Nice play too. R7 going to finally go down. You're fast, but not fast enough. Ken now. Here comes the conceal play. Watch for Naomi. They're going to claim over this Lord Pit. RQ force to back off. Zipex holding the back line, getting some nice shots off. A lot of damage on the Vin. Zipex finds it. Skylar using the go away along with the brilliant, doing a lot of damage, but he's taken out by Justin. Clay will fall next. It's a 4-for-0 trade, and the Lord will go to Falcon.
RRQ, man, they just don't know when to back down. They lost the initial engage, they got their members picked off, they still went for the 4v5, for the 3v5, and eventually they pay for a 4-for-0, and Falcon, they jump on the opportunity, they secure the neutral objective, and they're getting turrets left and right. What a disastrous moment for RRQ.
Big disaster there, and at the same time, Zipex just picked up the Malefic Roar, so now this damage for that Clint's going to be even more online at this point. And it's crucial, right? RRQ is going to have to defend against this one. Yes, they were down a member earlier on. They still decided to fight it. Look at the gold lead already for Falcon as they press the issue into the base here.
Yeah, but with Skylar, they should be able to melt down this Lord. It is just Lord 1, Yellow Flash with the split, keeping them at bay. One minion still stands. Zipex getting a couple passive shots, trying to make them onto this base. Can't quite connect just yet. Falcon now moving up to the top side here. R7 going to come into the back side. Vin uses a conceal play, trying to find someone, or maybe just trying to create some space, but Falcon doesn't want to give it up. A nice hook does come down. Vin tries to survive, but Zipex takes him out. R7 forced to retreat. Justin falls though. Clay able to capitalize. This could be bad. Skylar moving in. Yellow Flash goes down next. Albert finds it, but Naomi then finds him. This is what we call pushing the tempo.
Another hook, but R7 still going to press it on.
He wants to keep pushing. Zipex can't get away from it. R7! Man, this joy is online. Ken and Naomi forced to retreat. Clay with his back, but R7 keeps on pushing under 2 towers. But the hook comes in. Falcons trying to climb something, but just can't.
They just keep fighting and fighting, and eventually they will come out on top. This is the RRQ playstyle, and it's so nerve-wracking because you have no idea what's going to happen. What is for sure though is that the marksman right here is just playing such a key role in these big team fights, man. Whenever Skylar is able to free hit, you see that Falcon just start getting shredded. But if you can see, if Zipex is the one left alone, he is the one dealing that damage. So it just seems like for both teams, the pickoff, the burst is what matters, right? If Falcon can get a pickoff first, RRQ start to falter. But if RRQ can get to the back line, that is where Falcon are forced to retreat with all their members unless they want to lose Zipex or Justin.
I just think it's so perfect that basically this matchup comes down to tempo, and you have the joy here with the beats, right? The force also, you know, that's how we saw it unfold. But I mean, you make good points here, Arashi, and at the same time, you have to take note, RRQ with that play, that defense and initiation, they whittled down that gold lead. What, 5K at one point here for Falcon? So now they put themselves in a position again where they can be very confident in this next Lord coming up in about 10 seconds. And really, if they can find a pick off early on, that's going to be the best case for them. R7 already picking up a Divine Glaive here. Vin with the Immortality. Those are crucial for this next Lord fight.
It's just how they play, man. They go for a solid late game picks, but they just keep going at it and trade kills, and they're going for a fight again.
Ooh, that is a big resource wasted. Vin trying to get the wild charge down. Suppression does lock onto R7, but he may be able to escape this. Has the shield. He's not trying to escape. He wants to find a kill, and he finds it, but he pays the price. Yellow Flash is going to lock on. He's sitting on top of Albert right now. Ken goes down to the backside. Skylar finds a beautiful angle, and now they're going to disengage a 2-for-1 trade to the side of RRQ.
Honestly, man, the DPS coming from RRQ is just so lethal right now. Melissa and a Lunox in the late game is the worst of both worlds for the members of Falcon, but Naomi still finds that hook, man. It's insane.
Definitely insane, but the hooks just don't seem to be enough right now. Play will take the Lord. Yellow Flash will get knocked up. Vin gonna go down to the Immortality. Won't survive that one. Yellow Flash, though, is on top of Albert here. He's gonna try to back off, but Skylar found him. Locked on. Yellow Flash forced to flash away. This is looking a little grim for Falcon.
So as you're seeing these fights break out here, Skylar is just able to unleash, right? A lot of the times it's R7 doing what Joy does best. It's a distraction. You distract the enemy team here, you whittle them down, Clay is that burst, and Skylar's just kind of in the back, you know, unleashing here. Now, Falcon Esports, if they want to turn the tide here, first, they need a successful defense against this Lord in the mid lane, do their best there, and then from at that point, they've got to get past the R7 issue, and it's honestly going to come down to that lockdown. That's what we've been seeing with the Bloody Hunt combination or the hooks here, but now here's the Lord in the mid side.
Yeah, I like the fact that they tried to get it down as much as possible before it connects onto the inhibitor. RQ going to play it very disciplined here. They know their advantage isn't so great just yet, and that, I think, is where Falcon messed up in their last push. They stayed a little bit too long.
And look at the waves here being manipulated by RRQ. They're making sure that it all comes at the same time. You can see that Falcon is being split up quite a bit, but RRQ, they won't be able to get a pick off unless they want to go under the turret. That is a bit too bold from them. They will show discipline and back away. And I think that's what's very important, Naisu. Like you said, rationing your crowd control to ensure that the right targets don't get to have a role in the big fight is so critical for Falcon.
Well, you can chalk that up as a successful defense now that both teams have had. But look at Falcon. They're going to go ahead and look for a pick. They know that Albert's there, but they still have to be very cautious on how they approach it. Ooh. That's going to be an Iron Hook missing. Albert knows where they are. The purple buff fight's going to ensue. Oh. But it looks like it was taken by Ken.
But then he gets knocked up. Will go down. Skylar starting to output a lot of damage, melting down Yellow Flash as well. Justin trying to escape here. The rest of the team on the wall. Maybe want to try to re-engage this. Naomi uses the conceal play. Another material down. RQ possibly going for the re-engage. Here comes the conceal play. R7 Hook pushing the front side. Wall does come down. This will secure the first inhibitor for RRQ.
It's such a tough situation. The tankiest members from the side of Falcon, Glue as well as at Fredrin, they have a very good mix of defensive, physical and magical defense. But at this point, with the Divine Glaives coming in, with a full slot, a full item Melissa, it's just not enough. The longer the fight goes, the more the DPS of RRQ is going to show out to just make that difference. So Falcon needs to find the right targets at this point. If they want to trade members, it might just benefit them, because at the end of the day, if the DPS members from both teams are taken out, the members with the tankier, the more sustainable heroes, like the Fredrin, like the Glue, can absolutely take control of that later stage of the fight.
Yeah, and this is the biggest thing, right? You see how much, you pointed out the Divine Glaives, Arashi, how much magic damage and burst is there from RRQ. That's why Falcon's forced to take, you know what, they had 3 Athena shields across the board, a couple Radiant armors here, but still they're finding it hard to even contest in a lot of these fights just because they can't get to the back line. And that's the struggle that Justin has to solve, or even Naomi.
Yeah, Naomi tries to lock on to Vin, but once again, he's using it on the tank. Immortalities will pop. Ken will go down. Naomi now on the run, but R7 doesn't want to let it happen. Back onto the river, though. A little bit of a fight ensues. Skylar going to chase down Justin. Justin goes down. Yellow Flash looking for Clay, but the Brilliance comes out and starts to zip X. Goes down R7 all the way in enemy territory under the base, and that there is the problem. The lack of mobility from that Clint just can't go against R7 now. They are going to focus on the yellow flash. That is a 5-man wipe. The immortality does pop. Tries to use the winner Truncheon. Don't think he's going to get away from this one. RQ will move on to the base, and that is it for game 1 in a best of 5.
You can hear the crowd as RRQ takes first blood in the series. It was a back and forth between these two teams setting the tempo, but eventually RRQ Hoshi comes out on top.
What a wild playstyle, man. Every time you think that, wow, they made a mistake, they lost 4 members for nothing. The next fight, they just come in and wipe the whole opposing team instead. It's just such a random situation, and Falcon, you can tell that they're just confused. What the heck did they do here?